Well, do you remember the recent Columbia University protest that was gassed last week? Students were saying that they were sprayed with some sort of chemical or some sort of gas. Well, it turns out that the people responsible for the gassing were former IDF soldiers using military grade gas on students. That is what has now come out, is that these were two IDF soldiers who posed as part of the protest. They wore the keffiyehs, they held signs, they pretended to be part of the protest, and then they unleashed an IDF used. It's a substance that is used by the IDF, and they used it on these students. Now, what it does is it causes a stench, a very, very terrible stench. People say it smells like rotting corpses, and it makes the person, it lasts on them for days and days, and it could cause you to get sick and throw up all the time and burn your eyes. There's some actual true health ramifications that could happen with this. Now, it's skunk is what it's called. It's a malodorant crowd control weapon that is used by the IDF. It was first deployed in 2008 against Palestinian protesters on the West Bank. And the military-grade chemical leaves a strong, lingering smell on its targets, which have been likened to that of a rotting corpse from a stagnant sewer. This is according to the World Socialist website. They had put this story out because this is also not making mainstream news right now, that these former IDF soldiers. So Columbia's come out with a statement, and they're saying that they are investigating this. They have basically confirmed that these two students were former IDF students IDF soldiers that have come back to study general studies at Columbia University. They're saying that they're looking into this as being a serious hate crime. I don't know why this isn't being. I don't find this a very I don't like the terrorism moniker or the idea that everybody's looked at as a terrorist, and they've definitely abused terrorism, domestic terrorism. Everybody's a terrorist. But in this situation, I think it would classify as terrorism and not a hate crime. I mean, if these are IDF soldiers who have Israeli citizenship, they probably also have American citizenship, but they have Israeli citizenship, and they deploy this gas on these protesters during an event, obviously for a political agenda, right? I mean, their agenda is political and nationalistic, but not for the nation of America, for the nation of Israel instead. I would think that this would be potentially a terrorist attack and not just a hate crime, but I don't know the exact legality of it. Now, this protest was put together by Jewish Voice for Peace and also by the SJP, which is, what does that one stand for? That is the Students for Justice in Palestine. Those two groups have actually been banned. This is how crazy things are, right? These two groups have been banned, so they're not allowed to protest. They've been banned only from Columbia, but a bunch of other of the Ivy League universities have banned them from protesting. They say it's because these students are not following the protocol for protests. But nonetheless, these groups have figured out ways around the banning. They now have kind of coalesced with other groups, and the other groups then file for the protest permits, and then they get together and protest under those groups' banners. But yeah, they were out protesting. They got gassed using an IDF gas by former IDF soldiers. It's being investigated as a hate crime. Why is it not terrorism? Why is it not making headline news everywhere? If Palestinian students did this to Jewish groups, gassing them, former Hamas militants gas Jewish students protesting for Israel's right to exist, whatever, that would make headline news everywhere, but this one doesn't.